Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the CR7 podcast. The RTGAC is back, and today I'm not as stressed as last week because last week was probably my worst week I've ever had on the CR7 podcast. The guest didn't say, what he did in sports, and it was just a whole disaster. But we are back this week, and as we are back this week, we have another guest. We are on that train towards the end of the year. Dave Contreras, welcome to the CR7 podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be on here. I play football here. I'm a freshman, and I'm ready to talk about sports.
Alrighty, you took my whole intro away. But as we are getting into that, Cole, say what's up to the people.
How's it going, everybody? Great to be back. I mean, what more can I ask for? Baseball season, we're wrapping up school, and the Phillies are on a great win streak. And we don't even have to wear blazers. Ryan, great professional look today.
Of course. I refuse to take off the blazer. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care who judges me about it. Anyway, Cole is right. The Phillies, they are hot right now, but we will get into them in just a few minutes as we do the rundown. We'll talk about them first. Then, UFC 301 just took place this Saturday. I will be reacting to that, though I did not watch the pay-per-view because I was not dropping $80 on that. And then moving over into the NFL, Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Miami Dolphins. Me and Dave will be talking about that as well. Cole will be talking about how baseball will be going into the future with three of the top hitters in the MLB: Trea Turner, Kwan, and Wyatt Langford, all on IL. In the NBA playoffs are rolling, but one team that is out is the Philadelphia 76ers. I'll be talking about what's next for this team. And then Cole will be discussing Anthony Edwards versus Nikola Jokic, the matchup that it has been going down in Denver, and we will cap it off with Ryan's rants. Cole, since the last time we talked, the Phillies are 6-0. Talk about this team.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, we couldn't ask for much better. I mean, it's really tough to not, critique this team, especially after what they've done in the past couple weeks. I understand they haven't played the best competition with the Angels away and then the Giants at home. But, 6-0 is pretty, up to par and incredible. We have the best record in baseball. Alec Boehm's hitting incredible. I will touch on the Trea Turner injury, later, as Ryan said. But, man, I'm excited, man. Our worst pitcher is apparently Zach Wheeler, who's 4-3 starting. And, that's saying something. Taijuan Walker's done a phenomenal job, especially, coming back from injury. I did think in that game on, Sunday. Yeah, I thought Topper left him in too long.
Yeah, he did. They've been doing that with him.
Yeah, he pitched like into the 90s, into the 7th inning, I believe. Yeah, and he obviously shouldn't have gone that long. I think he got a 3-run home run hit off him.
It was a 3-run home run. I remember watching that.
Tyro Estrada, I believe.
I don't remember. I'll be honest with you.
If that's right, props to me. But anyways, yeah, I don't have that much on this team. They've been incredible over the past couple days, And then, you close out the series against the Giants yesterday. Wheeler on the mound. You finally got a win with Wheeler on the mound.
Finally.
It's pretty fascinating to me how they can win with everyone except for Wheeler.
It is interesting. Yeah. I feel like every time Wheeler's in there, the offense just kind of depletes.
Yeah.
Dave, anything on the Phillies? I don't know. Not much of a baseball guy right now.
Yeah, no, I don't really watch baseball too much.
I remember with the TikTok in October. I think it was October or something. All right, anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Not much on that, but I'll give a little bit of analysis here. As Cole mentioned, not much to critique in this game. As I have said religiously, the Phillies need to get off to a hot start. They have easy series going into the, after the All-Star break. We have some tough series coming up to get these series, to get these wins, to have these winning streaks. Definitely very good for this team. Not much really to say. Pitching has been incredible. Pretty much everything has been incredible for this Philadelphia team right now. Alec Boehm hitting incredible. But actually there is one critique. And I feel like it's been getting in the, it's been washed away. Nobody's talking about it. Nick Castellanos has been absolutely disgraceful.
Wow.
160 hitting? Are you absolutely kidding me? Cole Bat's better than that. And I don't even know his batting average. Goodness gracious.
I will say one thing. I got a question for both of you guys.
Okay.
And Dave, I know you don't watch the Phillies that much, but I think you'll have an answer for this.
Okay.
Nick Castellanos or Connor Brogdon?
Castellanos. God forbid Connor Brogdon.
Isn't Connor Brogdon a pitcher?
Yes.
Yeah, he's off the team now.
Don't even get me started.
But yeah, I will give a prediction for this next 2-game series against Toronto.
You're right.
I say we split the series because Sanchez versus Berrios. I understand Sanchez has been really good, but Berrios has just been better.
Yeah.
And then I think Nola will beat Bassett. I mean,
know.
Nola's been dominant.
Yeah, you know the pitching mechanics a little bit better than I do. But
Yeah.
getting into the UFC, I think we're all good here.
Mm-hmm.
UFC 301's reactions now. Listen, even Ariel Helwani said that he, it really wasn't worth it to drop $80 on this pay-per-view. So was I, even with a $10 discount, I was not spending that money. This card was not that good, I'll be honest. Starting out with our first fight here, Kyle Barala versus Paul Craig. I'm not surprised about this outcome. I picked Barala coming into this fight. Aggression definitely got to Craig. Obviously, a knockout in that. Michael Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. I mean, this was a terrible ending to this fight. That was an illegal knee. I'll talk about that in my rants. An illegal knee by Michelle Pereira. Sorry. Pereira threw an illegal knee there. Not much to say about that. I'll talk about that in a bit. Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. I was very surprised about this outcome. I'm surprised Anthony Smith finished him that early. I did not anticipate this fight really to go to the ground that much, so that was interesting. Jose Aldo winning his fight against Jonathan Martinez. I was very surprised. Cole predicted this one.
Oh, yeah, I predicted this one.
Cole, I was very surprised.
I predicted this one.
Get Maxwell Jung out of here, go, please. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, get out of my podcast room.
Anyways, Jose Aldo.
Okay.
I literally predicted that one, by the way.
All right.
Just want to put that out there.
Cole,
not a big UFC guy, but I still predicted the Aldo one decision.
Cole did predict this. I was very surprised. Aldo did a very good job. As well as I do say that, Martinez did not have a good fight. His defense in this fight, I thought, was absolutely terrible. Every time he threw, a jab or something, you're messing up my camera. Oh my gosh. Okay, every time Martinez threw like a jab or something, Martinez would drop his other hand, and there was no defense available. There was no defense whatsoever. And Aldo was able to go in with a counter strike. I thought Aldo had some great combinations. Martinez did not throw the leg kick that well, and Aldo was able to defend it. Obviously, Aldo, the master of leg kicks. The King of Rio able to get that win. Alexandre Pantoja versus Steve Aircraig. Listen, I thought I was going to come on to this show and, rant about how Aircraig did not deserve this fight. But he definitely put on a very good performance. This was a closer fight than I anticipated it to be, just by looking at the highlights and all the scorecards that you saw from judges and non-judges in that in the UFC. But Pantoja obviously controlled the ground in this fight, which obviously was going to lead him to victory. I think we anticipated that coming into this. Pantoja, he said he's going to come back in December. We'll see who his opponent is by that time. Now we're looking forward to UFC Fight Night this weekend. Derek Lewis getting his fight against, I can't pronounce his name, Yacimento. Heavyweight main event. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Derek Lewis always puts on a show. And then we have another fight night. And then UFC 302, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. So I'm very interested. I'm actually very interested for this card because we also have Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa, which I'm going to be, and I want to see if Strickland will get back into the middleweight contention against Duplessis, but they probably will give the title fight to Israel Adesanya. But we'll talk. I can have a UFC topic maybe next week. But moving on into the NFL. The Dolphins, they have just signed wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. to a 1-year contract worth up to $8 million. The base salary around $3 million. Contreras, I will start off with you about this one since you haven't got much more to say. Talk about the signing for me.
I think it's a good signing because he's going to bring experience to the team, and he's shown that he can like show up in big moments, like in the Super Bowl a few years back when he was on the Rams. He made some really big plays. He's not the same explosive guy that he was back on his Giants days, but he still is a really good player and is going to bring experience to the Dolphins team, which they're really talented. They just got Chop Robinson, the edge rusher out of Penn State. They got themselves a tackle out of Houston, Patrick Paul. And they have a really talented offense as well with Devon Achane, running back, setting playing crazy in like fantasy football until he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then they also have obviously the receiver core of Odell Beckham, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. But then they're also in like the most competitive division, I'd say, with the Jets, who will have a healthy Aaron Rodgers hopefully. And with that team, they have a bunch of like stars on that team. They got Hassan Reddick, and they got Sauce Gardner on the defensive side. On offense, they have Garrett Wilson, who, I think with Aaron Rodgers, he'll have a breakout year. I think they'll be great. And as well as the Bills, except I think it depends on how Josh Allen plays. Josh Allen is like a really great player, but he doesn't really have as much around him as he did before, obviously with Stephon Diggs leaving. Except Keon Coleman, I think him and Keon Coleman could be a good duo. Maybe make some explosive plays down the stretch.
Also got Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll give a little bit, like 30 seconds worth of this. I really like what the Dolphins are putting together here with their roster. I like how they're, incorporating a lot of speed. I do think you need to have that physical factor, which I think OBJ, somewhat brings. I know he's not an incredible physical guy, but I mean, he's probably the best, one-on-one guy to go throw it up and get it. Besides, I mean, you could put Tyreek in there, but Tyreek's like
Tyreek can't
small.
jump.
Yeah. So, I mean, he mostly beats guys as well as Waddle downfield. And then, I mean, I think this is a great addition. As a wide receiver 3, OBJ is, like, perfect. He was the second option in Baltimore, right? Second,
like
third. I mean, you could throw Bateman in there.
I remember. I had to fix the
Zay
camera.
Flowers, Rashad Bateman.
I had to fix the camera. I can't even.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you're all good. So, I mean, OBJ, I'll give it a B+. I mean, he's had, I forget how many yards he had last season. I think it was, like, close to 500, right? I think he got 500.
600, I believe.
600? Right. Yeah, I mean, that is your wide receiver 3.
Okay.
It's fine.
Ryan,
you got anything on it, OBJ?
I do.
Dave?
I mean, I was going to say that, like, I think it really comes down to how Tua plays.
Yeah.
Because if Tua is going to be, like, if Tua can, like, play at, like, an MVP level, then they'll win a Super Bowl. But, Tua hasn't been, like, the greatest. But I think that with that offensive tackle they picked out of Houston, that'll give him some protection. And he has so much weapons around him that it's really hard to play bad. So I think they'll definitely be a playoff team. I think 3 teams in this division could make the playoffs. I think the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills could all make the playoffs. But I think the best would probably be the Jets, just because they have Aaron Rodgers.
You think the Jets?
I mean, Aaron Rodgers was an MVP.
I don't know about Jets. See,
No, I do think the Jets.
I don't know about Rodgers.
No. I think the Jets will make this year's playoffs.
They can't make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the division. I don't think they can win this division.
Who thinks going to win?
Dolphins.
It's fair.
Or the Bills. No, actually, no. The Bills are...
Bills are not... No. They don't have Diggs anymore.
Yeah, the Diggs, they trade everybody.
What about the
Allen
Patriots?
needs...
Patriots... No. There's no...
Stop
They don't
it.
have anybody around May, and they're going to start
Drake?
Brissett.
Drake made the guy...
They got the
Who's
wide
our
receiver out of Washington, I'm pretty sure.
Who do they have?
They
Kendrick
get Polk.
Bourne?
They did get Polk. I really like Polk. I wanted the Eagles to take him if he fell.
Did
but
they still have Kendrick Bourne? Or no?
I don't even
Is he
know.
gone?
I don't know. Anyway, about OBJ. I mean, I think this is a very good move for the Miami Dolphins. You're going to need a wide receiver 3 behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Take some of that pressure off. I think OBJ is most likely, going to be that guy to, what we saw him doing in New York. Get that 5-yard slant and take it 50 yards down the field. That is what the Dolphins offense does. If you look at a guy like a Tyreek Hill, he can get your ball for 2 yards and then take it 98 yards down the field. That's just what Tyreek Hill does. I think the Dolphins still see a little bit of that in Odell Beckham Jr. Do we still see that as fans? I think we do. I think he can still do that. Is he up to the level that he once was? Not really, but this is a very good signing. It doesn't really matter if he, if he has a 1,000-yard season, because you're going to have 2 incredible wide receivers. Apparently, the Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa are in contract talks. But we do have some not really breaking news. This did come out an hour ago. Wide receiver Tyler Boyd, former Bengals wide receiver, agreeing to a 1-year contract to go to the Tennessee Titans.
Wow.
So following Callahan over to the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Bengals have 2 of their stars, Hendrickson and T. Higgins, both requesting trades. So I would just leave them with Jamar Chase. So can you guys react to this move right here?
Yeah, so here's the thing with the Bengals. The Bengals obviously have Jamar Chase for this year. But, I mean, you look at the future, T. Higgins is not going to remain, whether it's, this year or next year, whether they decide to keep him. under the franchise tag contract.
He's not going to play under that.
Well, I understand.
I wouldn't step on the field with that tag.
Yeah, I get that. Tyler Boyd, obviously, I think he's I think he could be a wide receiver too, and especially on the Tennessee Titans, I think he definitely fits that role. Behind DeAndre Hopkins. Right? Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's one of the most underrated receivers in the league.
Oh yeah. He also gets, I don't know how many targets he had last year or receptions.
He had 98 targets, 76 or 67 receptions.
Yeah. I mean, that's a solid amount, but I think he'll get much more on the Titans.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Contreras?
Especially with Derrick Henry leaving.
I mean, I think the Bengals I think we're forgetting how good Joe Burrow is.
That is true.
Yeah.
He really is a great quarterback, MVP level talent, and they got a tackle with their first round pick, Amarius Mims out of Georgia.
That's right.
He's a good player, and I think that with the right assets around Joe Burrow, they will be going back to the Super Bowl. And I don't even think he needs another wide receiver. I think Jamar Chase is good, and they lost Joe Mixon, didn't they?
They did lose Joe Mixon.
Didn't they draft a wide receiver?
I don't even know.
They did.
I don't remember.
Jermaine Burton, the 3rd round out of Alabama.
Not a good pick.
They also got a tight end out of Iowa.
Gotcha. Yeah. Let's just say their wide receiver room isn't gonna.
It's starting to deplete.
Yeah.
Anyway, about this move, for the Titans, I really like this. They're putting all their marbles into Will Levis. Now, we saw glimpses of him potentially being the franchise quarterback, but I think what the Bengals are trying to do is they're trying to do the Jalen Hurts route, if that's what you want to say. Put some great weapons around Will Levis in his 2nd year, and hopefully he will flourish with those weapons. He has DeAndre Hopkins. He has Tyler Boyd. He has Tony Pollard in the backfield.
Right.
The defense has really been upgraded. They traded for L'Jarius Sneed. Awuzie, the guy who also is from the Bengals, is a great corner. Not a great corner, but a good corner that is pretty underrated. I really like the Titans right now. I like them to possibly go to the playoffs this season.
And I will say one other thing. I do think Pollard is going to get, somewhat injured and not play, all the weeks. I think he'll play, close to 14 out of the 17. But, yeah. I think Tyjae Spears, their backup running back.
He's good. I like him.
Dude, if I'm picking one guy to break out this year, it's going to be Spears, man. I'm liking him, man.
All right. Moving on back into the MLB. Cole, we mentioned this a bit earlier about Trea Turner on the IL, but also joining him on that, Stephen Kwan and Wyatt Langford. Talk about the future landscape of the MLB without these 3 guys.
Yeah, so I'll start with Wyatt Langford. Obviously, he's not the greatest hitter. Obviously he's, still adapting to MLB play, but he's an exciting guy. He's a young guy out of, the Rangers drafted him, so, you love to see, homegrown guy. And then, obviously, you got Stephen Kwan, who's hitting leadoff for the Guardians, and, he's having an incredible year, obviously, career numbers, batting .350 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. Obviously, 11 RBIs don't stand out that much, but when you take into account his OPS, which is right above 900, it's very impressive. Wyatt Langford, he's not that great. He's a rookie. What do you expect from him? He's batting just over 220 with a home run and just below a 600 OPS. So, Wyatt Langford, he doesn't really matter that much, but still, you like to see the young guys in the game. You like to see him progress. And then, obviously, you got Trea Turner. And Trea Turner is out for the most amount of weeks. I don't know if I said this before. Wyatt Langford's out 3 to 4 weeks. And then Stephen Kwan's out about a month. And then Trea Turner, we're expecting 6 weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
And, he's had an incredible season so far. Batting .340. He had a player of the week or month or something
I think
like
it was the week.
Player of the week.
Because I think Bohm got the month or whatever.
2 home runs, 9 RBIs. Not great in the RBI category or the home run category,
but
but
he's been hitting the ball well. Every time he gets up there, he hits.
Yeah, and near 400 on base percentage. You can't ask for much more out of Trea Turner. And that first year we didn't really see Trea Turner, and this year I think we're seeing him. And I hope this injury doesn't affect him in the long run. Obviously we can, I think we can manage with Witt and Sosa in the infield. I want to. A little shout out to Bryson Stott playing his first game at shortstop since Game 6 of the World Series.
That is true, actually.
He had a nice play.
What do you call it? Turner's also gotten 27 runs this year. So as I mentioned, he can score. He can move. Like that's what I said about Schwarber.
He gets on base.
That's what I was saying about Schwarber last year. Like if you're gonna bat first, you're gonna bat early in this lineup. You need to start getting hits because it's not gonna work out. But he's really gotten some runs for the Phillies, and it's shown in the win column.
Yeah, and Schwarber hasn't been bad either.
Yeah. Oh, definitely not. Schwarber's been playing good. I mean, I'm just
he had a
talking
home
about.
Run yesterday.
I'm talking about last. I'm talking about last year.
Oh yeah.
Like last year was just terrible.
Oh, is he batting under 200?
Yeah, under 200. Like absolutely terrible. Anyway,
moving on.
To the Philadelphia 76ers, sticking with the Philadelphia teams, though. This Philadelphia team, not so hot, got eliminated by the New York Knicks in the playoffs. What is next for the Philadelphia 76ers? Listen.
We didn't react to this yet. We didn't react to their loss, I don't think. Right? I don't think we did.
I might have did on stream. I might have did on stream where I was ready to throw my computer out the window.
I will say one thing. I don't think people understand how good Brunson has been in the playoffs. Like, no, I get it. 35 shots a game, but what he's done for the Knicks, especially in the Garden, it's been fun to watch. Even as a guy who got eliminated by the Knicks. Last night was fun to watch. I was studying Spanish, and then Ryan told me there were 6 minutes left, and I had to watch the game. So I turned it on the Chromebook, and bang, you were dialed. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
I was live. I know that, and I'm live again tonight for the Celtics and Cleveland game. Yeah. Celtics should blow this team out of the water. Anyway, I reacted to the game on stream, so I'm not going to do that here. If you guys want to go check that out, that is available. But for the Philadelphia 76ers, what's next for them? 2024 edition. What do you call it? In free agency, you need to go out and get a big guy. There's Andre Drummond's going to be available. Listen, you can go in the draft. You have the 16th overall pick. People are saying getting guards. I'm not too keen on that because I think you can bring back a guy like a DeAnthony Melton. You have Malik Monk available, and you have a lot of cap space. Malik Beasley's also out there. I really like him.
Talk about my guy.
Who?
Ricky Council.
Oh yeah, he's going to get minutes next year. I guarantee he will.
Please.
You can get
Nick Nurse.
You know what? Even though I hate Duke, Kyle Filipowski is available for the draft. You can get him. Now, would he start? Yeah. Would he be a backup immediately? No, but if you draft him, you can maybe develop him for a year.
He's better than Tobias Harris.
Anybody's better than Tobias Harris. I mean, goodness gracious. Anyway, Cole? Your last quiz for the CR7 podcast. You'll get exempt from the final if you get it right.
All right.
What did the Sixers need to win a championship?
Oh, probably Tobias Harris to score more than 0 points in an elimination game.
Did he do it?
Nope.
All right, you're exempt from the final. I mean, what have I said this entire year that came back to bite the Sixers? Tobias Harris and rebounding. I guarantee you, every single Sixers weekly recap we have gone on, you can look at me, say Tobias Harris and rebound. I think there was 1 week where I only complimented the rebounding. And guess what? It comes back to bite us in the you-know-what. Right at the end of the year. Absolutely unbelievable. But anyway, what's next for the Philadelphia 76ers? We have a lot of cap space. I would love to go out and get a guy like a Malik Monk. You can re-sign DeAnthony Melton, saying he stays healthy. Malik Beasley on the market. I'm not too keen on bringing back Kyle Lowry. I feel like we need to get a bit younger off the bench. Buddy Hield, possibly you could bring him back. I feel like the lineup would be a bit small if you want to go out and get a guy like a Malik Monk. I feel like you're going to need another power forward. I don't think Kelly Oubre is going to fit that role. Obviously, with rebounding, you don't want to get smaller. People are talking about Paul George coming in, Jimmy Butler. I like Brandon Ingram the most. I feel like, he's not going to take the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands, but he can score in the clutch, something that he has done. If you're looking at a guy like a Paul George, Jimmy Butler wants around $40 million per season. I'm not willing to do that if I am the Philadelphia 76ers. Destroy your entire cap, which you have built the entire past couple of seasons. Daryl Morey, while I am going to rant about him in just a bit, he has done a very good job manipulating the cap while he has been around for his entire tenure in the NBA. In my opinion, I think getting Brandon Ingram would be the best option for the Sixers. If you want to bring in Paul George, well, then he's really got to step it up. Get these single-digit points in the playoffs. Not going to get the job done. Not more than what Tobias Harris is. What he has been doing. Contributing. There's the word. Jimmy Butler. It looks like, honestly, if in my opinion, it looks like Jimmy Butler it looks like it's trending towards the direction of Jimmy Butler. Because when he's talking trash about the Heat, Pat Riley going into the press conference saying, you can't say that stuff. I think he's been fed up with Jimmy Butler because obviously coming in to the media day with all these weird hairdos, that's not the Heat culture. I think Pat Riley's tired of him. I think he's going to want to let him go. Yeah. I also think the Heat need a new star. I think you need to bring in somebody like Donovan Mitchell if he does leave Cleveland. But I've been talking a little bit too much. Cole, Contreras, anything?
I will say one thing on the Heat before, Dave, you say something. Mm-hmm. They had their chance at Lillard. I mean, they really should have, put all their, efforts towards that. I don't think that they prioritize him over the offseason.
See, I don't think so. I don't agree with that.
Oh, you don't?
Because in Portland, he was the guy.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
once again, the ball would be
him and Butler.
He wouldn't work well with Hero as well. He just wouldn't work well with Tyler Hero because you want to develop these younger guys, and if you're taking the ball out of his hands, that's just not going to work out.
And Hero was phenomenal in the plan.
He was.
Which we were at.
We were at that game. Contreras, anything about the Sixers in their future?
I mean, I think they need to have like a solid backup center because Embiid's really injury prone. And I was watching Game 6 where we lost, and two guys that I really did think were good role players is Kelly Oubre and Buddy Hield, because they were hustling, they were making the plays and I think that we could have won. Obviously if Tobias Harris showed up, Maxey played all right. I mean, Embiid's always going to be putting up 30 points, but other than that, I think we just need I think that was all Tobias Harris.
I think rebounding is just another problem.
Here's my thing, Ryan.
Yeah.
Paul Reed is not a center.
I've been saying this since the trade deadline.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta fix this, guys. We gotta fix this. Mo Bamba should be playing center over.
He's not gonna grow 3 inches taller. And you want to put, what? Why don't I get on Paul Reed's back and I just start getting rebounds for him? I mean, what the hell? This guy is they literally have him listed as a small forward on ESPN. Yeah. Why are we having him in the paint grabbing rebounds? It makes me want to rip my hair out that I barely have anymore. Whew!
He was great as a third backup behind Embiid and Harrell.
A third backup? Are you gotta be absolutely kidding me? A great third backup? Are we talking about there's greatness to be a third backup? Are you absolutely mad? Oh my gosh. Anyway, moving on. Anthony Edwards versus Nikola Jokic. They have played 2 games. The Timberwolves dominated Game 2. Had a very good showing in Game 1. Rudy Gobert did not play in Game 2, and the Timberwolves were absolutely dominating in Game 2. Cole, talk about this matchup.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously Game 1, close game all around, and then Minnesota comes out and outscores the Nuggets by 4 in the final quarter. I mean, you go into this game, you see, oh, wow, Jaden McDaniels, 0 points. I will talk about him later. Rudy Gobert has been phenomenal defensively. Him guarding the guards,
I've been saying this.
I mean, Ryan is right. And then, I'll go back. Karl Anthony Towns, he did a solid job that game. Mike Conley, phenomenal job. Anthony Edwards, though. Anthony Edwards is the face of the league at this point, all right? You look at Kyle Anderson, he's been solid for them. Not great in Game 1. Not great in Game 1 at all. Naz Reid provided energy off the bench for them in Game 1. I think that's part of the reason why they won the game. You look at Game 2. Game 2 is where my boy Jaden McDaniels came into play.
He did.
Him with the long arms, man. I mean, he got I forget when this play was, but he beat Jamal Murray to the basket and then came down and chased down block off the glass. I mean, he was double blocking people, and I mean, he only had 1 block. I understand, but I think it should have been more. Anyways, Anthony Edwards again, showing up. Karl Anthony Towns, I love that duo, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. And then back to what Ryan said about Rudy Gobert. Phenomenal. All right, that's it.
Contreras?
I mean, I think the Timberwolves, they have a really, I think their roster is better than the Nuggets because I think they have, Anthony Edwards is a great player, scorer. They got Karl Anthony Towns, another scorer, and then they have Rudy Gobert, who former Defensive Player of the Year, just there to be an anchor in the paint.
Yeah, and let me say one more thing.
Yeah.
Alexander Walker came into that game, played incredible defense on Jamal Murray. I mean, they just had Jamal Murray running for his life in the backcourt. Anyways, get ready for Ryan's rants.
No, I'm gonna talk about this real quick.
All right.
His first 2 games. Listen, this is a bad matchup for the not the Minnesota Timberwolves, for the Denver Nuggets, because when you think about 2 bigs like Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, the Nuggets don't necessarily have that. Aaron Gordon, while a good power forward, does not really defend the center position that well. And when defensively, Jokic can't jump that well. He doesn't really have hops. In these series against the Lakers that we've seen in most series, like, he's going up against DeAndre Ayton and Anthony Davis. Like, he's taller than these guys. He doesn't have to necessarily jump that high to go get these rebounds. That's not the case with Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. These guys are both 7 feet, and they can both easily get rebounds just as well as he can. So I think that's a problem there defensively for the Denver Nuggets. Offensively, the Timberwolves are just an absolutely incredible. With the Los Angeles Lakers, it was either they had guards who can defend but not shoot, or guards who could shoot but not defend. And what Jokic does so well is that he can, facilitate very well as a center, something we don't see. He can back down somebody, kick it out to the perimeter, and these guys can make a jump shot. With the Timberwolves, that is not the case. These guys can do very well on the perimeter defensively. As Cole mentioned, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, even Anthony Edwards getting in there. Mike Conley, a great veteran who was taking on a great defensive role.
Even Rudy Gobert on the perimeter.
Rudy Gobert, that's why he's the defensive player of the year. That will be announced tonight. If he doesn't win, you're going to expect me coming on here next week talking about that. And then, where was I? Jokic. So you completely shut down everything around you, and Jokic is not going to have much more confidence in these guys anymore. Jamal Murray's injured. You haven't seen much of Michael Porter Jr. You haven't seen much of Aaron Gordon. And then you have Rudy Gobert, the defensive player of the year. That is not going to shut down Jokic. But honestly, 32 points for Nikola Jokic and 9 turnovers, it's really been considered shutting him down. That's just a level of greatness he is on. So if I'm the Denver Nuggets, the way to improve in this series is that your guys have to be moving more on the perimeter. You just can't catch and shoot. I need to see more off-ball screens from guys like Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., the bigger guys in this lineup. You don't have a guy like a Jeff Green or Bruce Brown. A guy like a Jeff Green who can set those off-ball screens, and a guy like a Bruce Brown that can move on the perimeter very, very well. These guys cannot just catch and shoot. They have to move on the perimeter if they want to get the Minnesota Timberwolves tired on offense, because when you're looking at the Timberwolves on offense, they have just been absolutely dominant. Anthony Edwards doing whatever he wants to whoever he wants, and that's what the Denver Nuggets got to do. Anything else to wrap it up? Alrighty. Ryan's rants. Cole, get started on our first topic.
All right, first one, we talked about it earlier, the Pereira illegal knee.
That was an illegal knee. I don't care what anybody does. The man literally just went on his controller, pressed every single button, and got the weirdest combination. Backflip onto him. I don't know what he was doing. And then just knees him right in the face. Why the referee did not call a disqualification? Absolutely stupid, in my opinion. But I've already talked about the Zhang Weili fight where Yan was out in that first round, but then they decided, I hear, that they put smelling salt up her nose. I've never seen a smelling salt a day in my life, and they have it in a UFC arena. Absolutely crazy. Apparently, then the cut man put ice up her nose. I didn't even know that was legal. But anyway, that was an illegal knee. I don't care what anybody says. The fight should have been stopped right there. Should have been a disqualification. Moving on.
Next up, no Jacob Fatu debut at Backlash.
Listen, I'm not that mad about this. I don't really know who Tonga Loa is, but I really wanted Jacob Fatu to debut. Solo Sikoa's brother. That's what we thought we were going to be getting. I guess WWE just wanted to switch it around on us. This was, apparently Jacob Fatu's been under contract for a couple months. So I would like to have him debut pretty soon. Maybe next month, maybe a King of the Ring. I'm not necessarily sure because the Saudis really like it to be a WrestleMania show. Also, I will say something before I continue here. Mm-hmm. This Turkey, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but this guy who's a boxing promoter, this guy's done absolutely incredible. I know people like to hate on the people in Saudi Arabia for, with the golf and stuff like that, but this guy's done absolutely incredible. Setting up Canelo Alvarez fights, Tyson Fury versus Yusuke. He wants to do Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. This guy is getting fights done, which is what we want to see. Anyway, moving on there. So maybe we'll get Jacob Fatu actually this month, coming up on May 28th in Saudi Arabia. If we see that there, I'll be happy. I'm not that upset, but it is something I need to rant about.
Maybe if they don't bring him on in Saudi Arabia, maybe there's another rant about it.
Maybe will be. Maybe there will be. We got to figure out a way to do a podcast in the summer.
Yeah,
we got to figure that out.
We definitely do.
Anyway.
All right, change is coming.
All right, this is pissing me off.
Ooh.
And you know when I extend the word, that's when I get pretty mad. Daryl Morey, change is coming. Are you kidding me? Change! Where's the change in the last 7 years? We're no closer to winning a championship than we were 7 years ago. Hell, I was 7 years ago. Are you absolutely serious? What change is coming? We're going to go out and sign a bunch of 35-year-old not bums, but guys that are not up on the level that they once were. Change. What change? Are we going to change the locker rooms? Are we going to change the food that they eat in the cafeteria? We're not going to be changing the basketball team. Why didn't you say this 3 years ago? Change for James Harden? Are we going to bring James Harden back and tend to everything James Harden wanted to do? Are you absolutely change? Change who? Are you going to change your hairstyle? Absolutely ridiculous. Change should have been made 3 years ago. Good God, with this team. Daryl Morey's got to be fired. This man has done nothing to accomplish anything. I swear to God, if one more person comes up to this window, I'm going to lose my mind. What change? Where are we changing? Who are we changing? I need that question to be answered. All right, guys. Contreras, thank you very much for coming on the show. Your eardrum, you're probably not going to come back because your eardrums are probably completely ruined. You guys can see me tonight. Boston versus Cleveland, game 1, first round. I'll be live for WSJP tomorrow. Prep versus Devin, baseball game. Me and Dom Schulk will be there. Contreras, thank you very much for coming on the show once again.
Yep,
yeah, what a way to end. And yes, we will be back next week. One more guest to end the year. And yeah, we'll see you then.
I was doing a podcast.